All right, everyone, it's time to talk about Timwalz and how he is completely messed up at this point. When we first saw the scandal unfolding in Minnesota, keep in mind this is one state and one relatively insular community within that state. So we're talking about the Somali community in a singular state. It's not even one of the most populous in the United States. You'd have to look to California, New York, something like that, in order to find that, Michigan or something like that, with a much higher population. Tim Walz, the Pillsbury doughboy of governors, effectively either one of two things happened here. Well, technically, there are three possibilities. I happen to favor the third. The first possibility, he's inept. He didn't even know that this fraud was going on, to now the tune of $9 billion. It was a few hundred million, then it was 2 billion, that's damning enough. Then it was $9 billion. It was news to me. All of a sudden we found out, yeah, they took him for a ride big time. So number one, he could just be inept. He didn't know that this was going on. He basically he had better things to do, like garden weaseling his pubic hair or something like that. Or there's corruption involved, and he said, well, and I want these votes from the Somali community. I'd best not do anything about this. He knew it was going on, but he didn't do anything for that particular voting purpose. This is likely, actually. The third possibility is that it's both. The third possibility is he didn't really know what was going on when he did get wind of it. He said, I'm not going to do anything about it. That's probably the best explainer for this particular scenario. I don't think that Tim Walz was ignorant of what was going on. I think that he effectively turned a blind eye to it because he realized that it was politically expedient for him to do so. I think that he simply wants to be reelected. He should be kicked out of office immediately. He should be dragged off in manacles, and he should be in a goddamn cold cell right now. It's my opinion of Tim Walz. Ultimately, he fucked up one way or the other. Either you didn't know what was going on. Okay, well then why are you governor? Because you don't know what the hell is happening. Or he knew what was going on. Why the hell are you governor? Because you're acting evil, effectively. Either way, it doesn't really make a difference when you think about it. Tim Walz he's toast. His political career is fundamentally over. There's a possibility that the people of Minnesota are crazy enough to reelect him. And watch the Republicans nominate someone that's so stupid that they can't even beat Tim Walz. Watch them do this because it's entirely likely. They're Republicans, after all. They're members of the GOP. This happens on a fairly repeated basis. But as far as this particular case goes, we have seen it metastasize from what would have been a fairly generic scandal. Few hundred million. I know that it's a lot to me. It's a lot to you. I would love to have $100 million. Man, that would be great. Get a little house, invest, 90% of it, but, get a little house, get a Jeep, and, have some fun with the remnant of the money. Go to South Padre for a couple of months and avoid this winter weather here in Vermont. That would be really, really nice. I would love to be down there right now. But ultimately, as far as scandals go, a few hundred million is, nothing to shake a stick at because it happens all the time. It should be more meaningful, but the thing is that the legal system is so mastodontically slow and so inefficient that if it's only a few hundred million, God, you're barely going to recoup the loss, probably even prosecuting the case. Then we found out it was $2 billion. That's a little bit more meaningful now, isn't it? Now all of a sudden, there's a reason why the feds would look into it. Now we're finding it might be upwards of $9 billion. I mean, can we even understand this? Is there any methodology by which we can say, uh, uh, by which we can actually pontificate on it? Because the scandal originally was, for political reasons, relatively small. Now it's a big, big fucking scandal. And by the way, I wanted to weigh in on this as well on a different level. This is not limited to the Somali community in Minnesota. This appears to have been a rife scandal that was particularly pernicious. How many more tens or hundreds of billions of dollars are being stolen with BIPOC insular communities across the country in multiple states? How many do you think are being embezzled in the state of California, for example, with a much greater population, much greater GDP and output, and so on forth? Probably hundreds of billions of dollars. I mean, we're not even sure that 9 billion is now the lower estimate. It could be 90 billion. We're not 100% sure. We're not even sure how much money was engaged in this fraud scandal. Do you think that given the ease, apparently, with which this fraud actually took place, do you really believe that it's limited to Minnesota? No, I think that people are putting Minnesota under a magnifying glass, focusing on that, and they're ignoring all of the fraud that happened elsewhere. California, New York, Texas, and everywhere else in the country. I think it probably happened everywhere. I wouldn't be the least bit surprised if billions of dollars weren't fraudulently used here in the state of Vermont. How do I know? For example, that all those centers that were set up in my state, and it's a blue state, so this would fall in line with the basic premise. How am I supposed to know that my tax dollars going to these centers didn't go towards absolutely nothing at all? Because that's what seems to have happened in Minnesota. You have a youth center that has like two kids that are simply standing there. You have a food center. It supposedly serves 20,000 people a day. In reality, it serves like 10 people a day. It's like a little diner or something like that. This appears to have been a systemic and known quantity. It appears to have been systemic in nature, and it appears that the government of the state of Minnesota knew that this was going on. They can't claim ignorance. You can't possibly claim ignorance on something this wide reaching. Why do I get the feeling that it's happened in other states too? Oh no, it's only in Minnesota. It's uniquely corrupt. Yeah, no, I don't think so. I think it was happening elsewhere. Just saying, it's a likelihood. So yeah, I mean, I'm glad to know that my taxpayer money was going to who knows what, probably funding some jihadist in Yemen or something like that. Some pirate, an uncool pirate, unlike me, in Somalia. Great. Wonderful. I'm really, really glad about that fact. It makes me happy to pay my taxes every single year. Timwalz is cooked. His career is fundamentally over. But there are other people that are just as complicit. People should not be putting Timwalz under the magnifying glass and singling him out as though he was a unique villain, because there are so many other people that probably engaged in the same behavior. Ultimately, this probably happened in every state in the United States of America. And it's not just in the billions range, it might be in the trillions range. If you count California alone, you're probably talking about hundreds of billions of dollars. Don't fucking start with me on that one. California is known for waste, fraud, and abuse anyway. I mean, it's not like they have a properly run budget. They haven't for at least the last 50 years. The odds that California did not engage in similar behavior is zero. 0% chance under the sun. Absolutely zero. New York engaged in this behavior. Michigan? No. You really believe the Michigan government? They did the same thing, probably to the tune of 20, 30 billion or something like that. If you can get 9 billion in a state like Minnesota, simply by having an insular community that nobody's allowed to criticize because of their ethnic composition, you have far, far more in these other states. I wouldn't be surprised if this vampirism of the economy runs into the multi-trillion range. I wouldn't even be surprised by it. I don't think that many of you would be surprised by it as well. This is insane. This is one of the biggest scandals that we've actually seen in modern US history, and a lot of people don't want to talk about it. I wonder what impetus behind is the reason that they don't want to talk about it. I wonder. I mean, it's Greek to me, I suppose. It's rather fascinating when you think about it. That's about all. Peace out.